Eric. Thanks for joining me on this quick call. It's honestly a pleasure every time I chat with you and just working with you on your songwriting. And so I just wanted to chat about the experience that you had while working together. So the first question I want to ask you is when before working with me, what was your experience and struggles that you had with writing music?
First of all, I just want to say like thank you for having me here. And it's always like talking to you is always very, very inspiring. It makes me just want to pick up my guitar and start writing music. um,
Appreciate that.
but yeah, uh, I think starting off if I could be honest, at the beginning before, we had those sessions, um, I was just a very insecure songwriter. I rabbit holed a little bit too much, and just I felt a sense of frustration every time I was trying to like write music or just trying to sit down and write lyrics. It's just I didn't have a sense of direction, I guess if I can say that. I did have some ideas that I thought were interesting that I liked and I felt like I could develop, but I just felt stuck. Like, where do I take this? Going on YouTube, trying to find ideas, trying to research some things online, and it's just felt like I was just getting stuck there. And then like taking sessions with you and just chatting with you about music, about songwriting. Um, in the end, I felt much more secure. I felt like I had the tools to be able to take some of my ideas and develop them into a full song. And most importantly, like it just it was just so motivating. It was just so um it almost felt like I was addressing my fears.
Mm,
My fears of of like being, of working, my fears of becoming a good songwriter or even a great songwriter. I still feel like I have a lot to learn. I'm still in the process. Like I told you earlier, like I haven't been consistent, but at least I have like the tools and the knowledge. Like I told you earlier, like the motivation that I got from you to keep working on those ideas and um, be able to just take like, I remember learning this from Mitchell, and I can just apply it to this idea that I have now and develop it further. I feel much more confident to write music, even though I feel like maybe my song isn't that great, but it makes me feel like, I can do a better job next time because I know all of these things that I picked up from you after taking those sessions.
yeah, and I think it's a really good principle when it comes to the idea of perfection. Because really, when it comes to songwriting, it's having the ability to take who you are and to write to that and to use that. Because a lot of people they compare where they're at and what they do and say I can't, I'm not like these huge artists and stuff. But if you, I mean, one, everyone starts from square one. Like someone, everyone has to be beginners. But at the same time, even the most beginning songwriters have turned their, their story, turned it into song, and have changed it into a career because they were able to express themselves in a way that's like, this is my life, this is me being vulnerable, and
Mm.
this is, and that, I think that is what makes the difference between a just a decent song and a really impactful great song. How many songs were you writing before before having coaching with me?
Honestly, I hadn't written a song, like a full song. I've always written pieces of a song or ideas. I thought like, hey, this could be a good verse, or hey, this could be a great chorus or a great intro. But it was just like that's where it stayed. And like I was telling you earlier, like my struggle was to develop like those ideas into full songs. And now it's like one of the now that I'm I'm kind of thinking back to our coaching sessions. Um, we did like a song analysis, right? Where you were, I remember you were like, hey, get a list of songs and analyze the structure of them, you know? So I was like, why didn't I think of that? It just sounds like a very simple idea, but it was like, okay, so I gathered some songs, and even still, I still do that. Like I'll listen to a song, either someone's blasting, from their car, or I'm on Spotify and just like a song comes up and I'm like, oh, I really love this song. And I save it and I play it over and over and analyze the structure. I was like, okay, there's an intro, there's a verse, there's a second verse, there's a pre-chorus, and there's a bridge, and then so I figured like I started taking those structures and applying it to like my songs. When I felt like, dude, I have this intro and I have this verse, like what can I put after? What can go next? And I would go back to and think about, oh, okay, so this is a song that I really like right now that I listen to on Spotify or whatnot. And I just started adapting or adopting those structures and applying them to like my song ideas. And believe it or not, for me, that's been very useful. It's been very helpful because it at least helps me finish out like a song, as far as like just I play guitar, so guitar is my instrument, right? So even if I don't have lyrics, I can at least put chords together where I can be, okay, these chords are going to be the verse, these chords are going to be the pre-chorus and the chorus and the bridge or whatnot. So as far as that, like that's been very, very helpful. Whereas before it was just like no direction, um, looking things up on YouTube and things like that, and just like feeling like, you know what, maybe songwriting isn't for me. But
Yeah. It seemed like you never finished a song before. You would have like these ideas and you didn't know what to do with them. To after going through the coaching calls, like what were you able to accomplish and do with songwriting? Like how, I guess, were you able, like how fast could you finish a song, or just anything like that? I'd love to know.
Yeah, you know what? I've never really timed myself. Like, okay, see how long it takes me to finish a
Yeah.
song.
Go.
Um, ready, go. That'd be actually an interesting challenge.
Yeah.
However, I feel like, whereas before, like I've never finished a song, I would come back to it. It'll take days, maybe months to maybe add something to it, but never finish it. And now, like I can sit and in one evening, I can just sit down and I have like my notepad right here in front of me, have my guitar right here next to me, and I can in one evening or one night, I can just sit down and, like I said, just have like my chord progressions laid out. At least that, and then I can always come back to lyrics. For some reason, um, a lot of my ideas first come with like the music, and then come the
Hmm.
lyrics. But now, and we can talk about the lyric stuff after if you'd like. But for me now, it's in one evening. Maybe it feels like maybe half an hour to an hour. Okay, I might be off, maybe like by half an hour or an hour, whatever. But it feels like half an hour to an hour where I feel like I'm in the zone. I can lay out the chords, write them down so I don't forget them, because I tend to forget whatever chord most of the time. And I can always come back to it and add lyrics to it. Um, so yeah, I guess to answer your question, to me it feels like half an hour to an hour, but in one sit, in one like in an evening, I feel like I can complete a song, at least like the structure or the bare like backbone of it.
So you basically take an idea and then at the end have the full structure song without lyrics within 30 minutes.
Correct. Correct.
That's that's awesome.
And
That's so good. I
and
love it.
something that's been very helpful for that is adding restrictions or limitations. I never thought about songwriting as limiting like your ideas, but it makes sense. I don't know if what I don't know if what I'm saying makes sense, but to me, what I'm trying to express is that when you add like yourself, okay, so I'm just going to create like a three chord song, something as simple as that, and you just limit yourself to that. There is like, yeah, I mean, it's like you have these guardrails, I'm not saying that going out, maybe you can add a chord here and there, but just
Yeah.
starting off with that limitation can help you finish a song a lot faster than being able, let's see what chord goes with this. I'm not sure if this works well. I'm not really enjoying it, but just saying, okay, so I'm in the key of C, just as an example, and I'm going to use these three chords, okay? Maybe my verse is just going to be one chord, and maybe my chords, I'm going to make it two chords and then go back to that one chord. I don't know, but it gives you room somehow that maybe you can word this better than I can, but somehow that stirs creativity. Finishing a song is much, for me, it's much more important than just focusing on like some of the things that would happen to me was like I would just focus a lot on the verse, like trying to perfect the verse or trying to perfect the intro, right? And that's where I would get stuck, discouraged, and frustrated. And now, like with having a different mindset of like, dude, just finish the song, okay? It's might be crappy, okay, but
It might not
getting
be.
into it might not be as well, right? But getting into the habit of finishing songs, just that whole process, knowing that, okay, this might be a great song or might not be a great song, but I finished it, going on to the next one. And then you can always go back to that song and be like, oh, okay. Now that now that I have, or now that you've gained the experience of finishing songs, you can always go back and, add, or maybe in the production process, you can, that's a whole different animal there, Um, but yeah, I think it's just being able to finish a song is so valuable.
Awesome. So let's talk about your lyrics. What was your experience lyrically uh to before doing the coaching calls?
Terrible. um, I would write stuff and it was just the same thing as my songwriting, just like no direction kind of thing, or just try to journal about my day, but it almost felt like there was no purpose to my writing. And one of the exercises I remember doing with you was like, hey, why don't you just like pick an object from the room and try to write from the perspective of that object for like 10 minutes a day. And yeah, at the beginning it was kind of a struggle. I would get up in the morning before going to work and it's like make myself a cup of coffee and just like start writing. Okay, I got my timer, 10 minutes, start writing. At the beginning, I wasn't writing much. I was there's this inner critic all the time, just kind of like, oh, like, yeah, I don't know if this is good, or it's just, and then the work was trying to silence that critic
Mhm.
and just write what I was thinking or whatever I was feeling from the perspective of that object, if that makes any sense. And I think one example I can think of was like there was these ropes in my living room at the time, and I started writing like from the perspective of like the ropes and how the room felt and how I looked to the ropes, and just and I started just kind of getting into more of like it started becoming a little bit more personal, you know. So after writing about the ropes, like I remember writing about other things, but I came back to that I just felt like, I don't know, there's something about that object or how it connected to me. I remember going back to that, reading it and pulling this idea of like, too, like ropes can be like can be a metaphor for like things that are holding me back from being the person that I want to be, And I was able to take that and write lyrics to a song. And for me, it's just like I need to feel that it needs to feel not only personal, but something that's meaningful. Like I need to write about something that's meaningful to me, right? So I was able to take that just from that exercise of like from, right from the perspective of an object. I was able to internalize, make it personal, and then write like lyrics that I felt were meaningful to me. So so what I'm trying to get at is that that exercise was a way to it's like an idea generator, like a song idea generator, right? If at some point it feels like, dude, like I don't know what I'm writing, it's just your inner critic comes into play. But then afterwards, if you just happen to go back to what you've written, it's just like there's 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 a bunch of gems in there.
Hmm.
There's a bunch of like song ideas. It's just not writing just to write. But if you go back and just read, it's like, oh, okay, now things start to click. Now song ideas or song lyric ideas start to form, and it's just motivates you to keep writing, if that makes any
It
sense.
does. I feel like that writing exercise is like, it is so like simple to do, and it is so overlooked. And I think like it's the consistency that makes you a good songwriter. It's not,
Mhm.
oh, I have the gift, like I can just generate it. Like to get to the point of instantly, the whole idea of on-demand songwriter creating songs on demand that are in demand comes from really like that 10-minute exercise. Because I feel like your pen is the shovel and the paper is a coal mine. And
Mm.
as you're, see, look, we're getting lyrical right now, right? That's pretty cool. Pretty cool. I like this. But as you're writing, it's the words are, pieces of coal, it's, I would say like a gold mine. And as you're digging, it's just rock, 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 rock. And like, I can't see anything. And maybe like as you go back through it, there might be a line or a word or like three words. Like, I want to write an idea. Like, it's not even about like what you're singing about. It could be three words from like a whole page, and then like, this is my hook, and now I'm gonna use this and turn it into a song. Like, that is how you find your inspiration. Is like a great exercise is doing that. And I honestly love doing that. And I've done that where I'm like, ooh, this line is cool, and I've literally taken a line from an exercise and I've used that as like the title of my song and my hook, and then I literally just use my process to write around that idea. And it sounds like you did this like a very similar thing.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Especially with that, with the ropes, just
Yeah.
ropes. Just that one word. It wasn't even a phrase. It's just ropes. And it's just so much like there's a lot of meaning you can extract from that.
But for you, like after going through coaching calls, like my goal is like people who work with me have confidence that they could, if they have the ability to write a song a day. Do you think like you're at that level now?
If we're talking about just like song structure, yes. I feel confident where I can write two songs or have like the structures of two songs in one day.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, that's what it's
Um,
all about.
yeah, and like how do I say this? Like I feel like I can develop material where I can go back to and add lyrics to and be like, okay, I have the song structure of this, and I just maybe have this vague idea of what I want the song to be about. And like just go back to my notepad or my journal and try to like extract lyrics, try to just extract like a phrase or something, and develop it into the full song with lyrics and my guitar. But yeah, I feel after taking the sessions, I feel a lot more confident.
Cool.
A lot more confident.
When it comes to your confidence in songwriting, you feel confident that you can come up with a full song structure from top to bottom. And obviously, like lyrics can come later
Mhm.
every single day. Like you feel like if I sat down every single day, I can come up with a brand new song idea, skeleton, and then all you basically almost have like a library of songs, being like, sweet. Now I just need to like add its voice to it, is like what it is. Like you have the songs ready to go, and all you're lacking is the message to communicate the songs. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. That is exactly what I was trying to say. And sometimes I'll have like I record a lot of things on my phone to begin with, the ideas, the song structures. Um, and usually what I'll do is like I'll voice out like a feeling or an idea or what I, whatever I was thinking about when I was creating the song structure. And yeah, I just, it's, I don't want to say shelved because that seems like I'm just putting it away.
Hmm.
But I know that it's there, you know, and I can always come back to it and add lyrics to it. Or I can add like an intro, or I can add like an outro. But I know that the song is there and I have material to work with. I feel confident enough to be able to write or to have the full structure of a song laid out.
It's super fun to see where you've come in this, and there is like this confidence where you feel like it sounds like your voice is now like, this is who I am and this is how I write, and it's more process based rather than just, whenever the inspiration comes, then you create. And that's honestly a liberating thing to know that you can create, have the confidence that you can create anything at like any song at any time. And it's just a matter of picking the times like, all right, I'm going to sit down today and write a brand new song. It takes a lot less energy to create music now, it sounds like, than it did before.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, those feelings of frustration or just feeling lost or just feeling like I'm a hopeless songwriter are kind of, they're just kind of like gone out the window. If I could sit down, every day, every evening, and write a song, that's my goal. That's my goal every day. But at least I know, like you mentioned, I have a process, right? I have the tools. It's like before I had my tool belt and maybe I only had like a hammer, right? I was banging my head, just like, oh, you gotta get these ideas out. But now I feel like I have all these other, I got my tape measure and I've got my screwdriver and I've got like all these tools that I can pick from in order to write a song. And that feels, for me, it makes me feel a lot more confident when it comes to writing a song.